divinely gifted, whether in sculpture, painting, or another artistic endeavor, has the privilege of being able to convert inanimate objects, such as paintbrush and canvas, into a vital form. In a deeper sense, this implies the ability to transform the material into the spiritual, especially in cases where the production involves a rendering of living creatures. And this transfiguration truly comes into its own if the artistic medium is used to advance ideas that reflect Torah and mitzvahs, thereby raising artistic expression to its highest level. This discussion is closely related to one of the key characteristics of someone's spiritual aspirations. As explained in the esoteric teachings of the Torah, the entire creation emanates from and is constantly sustained by the Word of God. However, because of the process of divine concealment, His Word is hidden, and only the material substance is visible. Therefore, the challenge, as well as the goal, is to become aware of the godliness extant in all objects, and in so doing to minimize the concealment of the true godly reality of this world. We must take care not to allow extraneous matters to obscure the real purpose of our creation. Even when we encounter difficulties and tests in life, we should see them as a vehicle to bring out our potential and help us in our spiritual growth. Keeping this perspective in mind will strengthen and inspire a person to cope with life's inevitable challenges and setbacks. Well, see again, that what we see is not sometimes true reality. There are deeper messages for it. There are deeper ideas, and an artist sees it. They just don't see the outward ideas, and that's something to see, to learn from an artist, that not just what it is in front of your face is the total picture. There are deeper ideas, and that's the creation also. There are deeper meanings in creation beyond what one's eye sees. And here's an idea from paintings, a very beautiful idea. The story is told of how the Rabbi Shalom Dov Ber, the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe, around 1900, was shown 3 paintings. The first painting depicted a war and its incumbent horrors. It showed a wide, whenever you see these Middle Ages scenes, it shows a wide battlefield with many soldiers in combat. The officers were observing the soldiers through a telescope. The scene evoked tremendous fear. There were streams of blood, as well as wounded and dismembered people everywhere. The second painting was of a planted field with stalks growing. It had a pleasant ambiance. The sun shone brightly, and a small bird stood on top of a stalk. Many art experts were impressed by the scene because it was captured so brilliantly as to appear real. A simple farmer who viewed the painting commented that it did indeed look real except for the bird on the stalk. Although the bird was small, the weight of its body should still have bent the stalk. And in the picture, the stalk stood tall as those surrounding it. The third painting depicted a courtroom scene from an earlier era. Both the prosecutor and defendant were present. The prosecutor demanded the death penalty for the defendant. The defendant's son was shown entering the room to proclaim his father's innocence. One could discern 2 expressions on the defendant's face: the fear that gripped him and the pleasure he felt as his son tried to save his life. The Rebbe drew valuable insights from each of the scenes. In the war picture, we can see a depiction of the internal spiritual battle with each person has with his evil drives. Of course, we're not beating up anybody or killing anybody, but that a fight that every person has inside of them is a major fight. The scene of the field teaches a profound lesson. One's divine service can look beautiful and give the impression of being alive. However, if it is lacking the ability to bend, submission to God's will, it ceases to be real. True goodness can only be achieved by setting aside the limitations of personal ego. And finally, the courtroom painting shows that when a person is being judged, if he even once performed a good deed for another person, this gesture of kindness acts as a defender for a character witness. The pleasure he feels as a result of this defense is great indeed. So everything we do, little good things, that even though they're dumping on us over here from heaven or from somewhere, nevertheless every good deed serves in our good behalf. So that's an interesting thing, how the Rebbe took some beautiful paintings and derived lessons from that. And then what can we learn from a song? A story is told of a man named Shamil, a leader of the Georgian tribes that lived in Russia's Caucasian mountains over a century ago. The Russian army attacked the Georgians, intending to deprive them of their freedom. Unable to vanquish the valiant Georgians in battle, the Russian army leaders proposed a false peace treaty, and thus succeeded in getting them to lay down their arms. Immediately afterwards, the Russian lured the Georgian leader, Shamil, away from his stronghold and imprisoned him. Exiled and helpless, Shamil yearned for his earlier freedom and fortune. He consoled himself with the knowledge that he would eventually be released and return to his former position with even more power and glory. His ardent yearning was expressed in a sad yet hopeful song. Chassidim sing Shamil's melody because its true story is an allegory for the chronicles of the soul. Each soul descends into this world from the heavens, clothed in the body of a human being. Its physical garments, in a sense, are its prison cell, for it constantly longs for the spiritual freedom and fulfillment it knew. It strives to liberate itself from the exile of the human body by directing the body's physical activity into the path of Torah and mitzvos, anticipating the time when it will leave the world behind and once again ascend into the lofty spiritual realms. So that's not about every song, but here's an interesting deep song that people yearn to go beyond themselves and to go reach the higher levels, and that would be an interesting Hasidic tune that we're learning from. Now it's actually interesting, we'll learn a little bit about science now. We have, of course, the Nanotech Center here in the Capital District, and I actually took a tour of it, and of course it's like they're obviously the cutting edge of science today, but it's really mind-boggling, if we can say that, of what they're even thinking about. It's not even science fiction. In one sense, maybe it is, but at least it's cutting edge. It's going to happen tomorrow, and this is the new ideas of what we can learn from new ideas. Well, here the Rebbe talks about the atomic age. One lesson we can learn from the popular term, the atomic age, is that when we see in our time how the energy concealed within the minutest subatomic particles can destroy an entire city and millions of inhabitants. This is possible because within every tiny bit of matter, God has infused a tremendous amount of power. If this is the case with negative activities such as warfare, so much more so is it true with regards to someone's spiritual potential through the proper use of the power locked within his divine soul. One person can have an immeasurable effect on himself and on the entire world. Furthermore, we have learned that where we once believed the world to be made up of a multitude of different elements, through examining substances of the subatomic level, we find that they are built of the same matter. This demonstrates the tremendous unity of creation. The Rebbe said this many years ago, but like I say, if you go and learn about nanotech, it's even more so. Now it's like he's saying the subatomic, that everything is made up of the essential, basic, not even elements, it's beyond elements, it's just the smallest part. And those smallest parts, like a computer, little chips, the smallest little thing are incredibly powerful. So again, that's what we say, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. That's what we're living in, an atomic age and even subatomic age. In the field of chemistry, One often sees that a very small quantity of a particular substance can completely transform a tremendous amount of surrounding matters. Inaction is that of a catalyst, affecting change without itself being altered in any way. According to the laws of science, it can be inferred that even the application of minimal effort could sometimes allow a person to have a profound impact on forces which appear to be more powerful. One can ask, how can we, the chosen people who are small in number, be expected to successfully carry out our mission to build a dwelling place for God down below by perfecting the entire world for his kingship? Since God does not give us any commandments that we cannot fulfill, we can proceed with the confidence that it is indeed possible for the few to affect the many in accordance with this scientific principle. So again, one little catalyst, even to a major substance, can have a tremendous amount. And again, this is our idea also. People say, well, I don't have $1 million to give to build a building, to make it a big effect in the community, but sometimes even a small effect pushes it enough, maybe in a positive sense, in a negative sense, the straw that broke the camel's back. So therefore you say, oh, it broke like I say, I don't want to say negative, let's talk about something positive. Something very positive is just that maybe a straw, in that sense, will make the whole difference, the tipping point of something that in reality. So in any case, we have to come to a close, even though there's more to talk about. But, like I always say, maybe for homework, think about yourself. Look around the world and see something. Again, maybe you're not an artist, and you're not a scientist, but you look at their professions and you see, hey, what are they doing? And it's a lesson for me. Like I say, maybe like an artist, I look a little deeper into the world. Maybe like a scientist, it teaches me that even the smallest little thing that I do will have a tipping point, will have an effect on the world. And there's just so many, many more things that we can learn from. We started off the show today to even look at something negative, like a thief. So even, what do I learn like a thief? Maybe it's not one lesson, of course, is not to be a thief. Look at a miserable life that they lead. But of course, that there are positive things you can learn. Look how they want to be perfectionists, and that they do with zealousness, and they keep on trying. So therefore, those are positive lessons that we can take from a thief. And it's important to learn from everything, because everything is God's creation. And thank you very much for listening and viewing The Jewish View.